Week 9 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few quarterbacks I would bench this week. The first guy, Ryan Tannehill of the Tennessee Titans. So Ryan Tannehill, he's been pretty decent over the last few weeks here for fantasy owners. Week 7 versus Kansas City, 270 passing yards, a touchdown, and then throwing 6 rushing yards for a touchdown. And then Week 8 at Indianapolis, 265 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 windows, and 26 yards rushing. But right now, with Derrick Henry out 6 to 10 weeks and possibly the season with his foot surgery, he's going to have to throw the ball more, and he's not going to have that security blanket of handing it off to a big physical and great running back like Derrick Henry. So a lot of teams here, they're going to try to make Tannehill try to beat him now. And this week, it's a very tough matchup, no doubt about it, at the Los Angeles Rams, who are loaded now with Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, obviously, and then you add Von Miller to the mix. That defense is just ridiculous, in my opinion. So this week, it's going to be tough sledding for Tannehill. We don't know if Julio Jones is going to play, but in my opinion, the way things have been going with him this season, I doubt it. And this week, in my opinion, it's an easy bench for Tannehill. The second quarterback I would bench this week, Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons. So Matt Ryan now, he lost number 1 target, Calvin Ridley, and we don't know if Calvin Ridley's going to return at all this season, that he's got to take care of business off the field for personal issues. So Matt Ryan, the last couple weeks here, he's been up and down. Week 7 at Miami, 336 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and then throwing a fumble loss. In Week 8 versus Carolina, he put in a dud performance, 146 passing yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, and 3 yards rushing. So this week here, Week 9, at the New Orleans Saints, it's a very tough matchup, no doubt about it. And we saw the Saints play a pretty decent game defensively versus Tom Brady and that high-powered Tampa Bay offense. So right here, the Saints give up the 4th least amount of fantasy points to quarterbacks. And in my opinion, there's no reason to trust Matt Ryan unless you're in the deepest of leagues or 2 quarterback leagues where with a lot of buys and stuff, you got no choice to play him. But this week, once again, I don't see much out of Ryan. Maybe 15 to 18 fantasy points at most, especially versus a tough defense and especially without his number 1 target in the offense. And the third and final quarterback I will bench this week here is Jimmy Garoppolo of the San Francisco 49ers. So Jimmy G, he came back with a vengeance last week here, but this week a very tough matchup versus the Arizona Cardinals that give up the 30th least amount of fantasy points to quarterbacks. So right here, the Cardinals have been great this season versus quarterbacks. Jimmy G, we know he's been an up-and-down quarterback throughout his career. In the last 2 games since his return, Week 7 versus Indianapolis, 181 passing yards, a touchdown, 2 windows, a fumble loss. And Week 8 at Chicago, he had a great game, no doubt about it, 322 passing yards, 4 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns at the goal line with a 2-point conversion. But this week, I don't see much out of Garoppolo. No way he throws for 300 as well in this one, unless he's going to get a lot of garbage time if Arizona gets off to a quick start. But this week in a tough spot, even though I know he's at home, I just can't trust Garoppolo, and he's a quarterback I would bench. A few quarterbacks I would bench here in Week 9 of the fantasy football season.